Welcome to Dodgers Daily. Casey Porter here. Wow, what a day it was yesterday. What a win it was for the Dodgers, 10-9 over the Snakes. What a great comeback it was for Arizona. What, just kind of hold on to your pants and hope the Dodgers could just end the game, and they did, and they won, and they took a 5-game lead in the NL West. What a great day it was in the system overall. And I'll tell you what, get some popcorn, sit down, because we have a lot to talk about. I've got a lot of opinions to give about last night's game, so let's not waste any more time and let's get right to it. So the Dodgers win 10-9, and again, they score first, which we mentioned yesterday. When they score first, they win just about 75% or more of their games. Again, I haven't looked the exact stat up yet, but I do believe it's 75% or better, something like that. If it's not quite that, it's somewhere around that area. So the Dodgers score again, and that's a big deal. But then another big deal, as I say it all the time, especially in big games, you can't allow the team to continue to have momentum. Now, remember that theme. I just said you can't allow that team to continue to have momentum. So how do you end momentum? You answer back when the other team scores. That's exactly what the D-backs did. Both times the Dodgers scored early. The Dodgers scored a 2-spot in the first. They scored a 3-spot in the second. And then the Diamondbacks answered the 2-spot in the first. And even when I say answer, the Dodgers scored 3 in the top of 2. You don't have to score all 3 runs back. Just get 1 run back. Just scrap it back because, yes, you're still 2 runs down like the D-backs were, but you did not allow the Dodgers to continue to have the momentum. And because of that, the D-backs were actually able to come back and tie the game up at 5-5 with a 2-spot in the bottom of the third. So remember that momentum conversation we're having right here as we get into some of the decisions that were made, as far as the bullpen goes, by Dave Roberts. Okay, the first thing that I want to talk about offensively, how about the way the Dodgers have been playing offense? They had 14 hits on Thursday night and just had a really great offensive game. Last night, highlighted by an MVP-type player, highlighted by a Hall of Famer at some point, Mookie Betts. How about his first 2 at-bats? You have Shohei Ohtani. Well, how about Mookie Betts all in all? He said he wants to play second base. So where's he playing? He's playing right field. Wants to be a leadoff hitter. But guess who's leading off? Shohei Ohtani, because that's what's best for the team. And Mookie Betts said, hey, if it's best for the team, then, hey, put me wherever you need to be, okay? And then how about his first 2 at-bats last night? His first at-bat, Shohei Ohtani leads off with a double, gives himself up and hits a ground ball behind the runner. That is called situational hitting at its finest right there. Second at-bat, sac fly. And as a manager, whether it be Dave Roberts or any Little League coach, all the way down to T-ball, when your best players are your most unselfish, that makes managing really, really easy. Because if a guy like Mookie Betts is willing to give himself up to hit a ground ball behind the runner, then dadgummit, everybody else on the team better be willing to do that as well. So that just sets a tone that, hey, guys, we're here to win the stinking game, man. This is Mookie Betts just hitting a ground ball. We are here to do whatever it takes to win this game. That is a mentality that when you have the talent that the roster of the Dodgers have, if you also have that mentality, that just sets in a certain amount of invincibility to your club that makes the Dodgers do what they've done, which is win so many different games the way they have here in the last month. So could not be more impressed with Mookie Betts and the way that he set the tone for his offense and got his offense on the board. Now, I know that, hey, Freddie Freeman hit the home run, so it doesn't look like that ground ball behind the runner really made that big of a difference. But I can tell you as a hitter, when you're up there and you have a runner on third, you don't even have to get a hit to score that run to get that first run of the game, then it changes your entire mentality. You're just thinking contact. You're just thinking put the bat on the ball. And sometimes when you're in that type of mind frame as a hitter, that's when you actually do hit your home runs, because a lot of times home runs are mistakes, and you hit them whenever you're just trying to make contact, hit a line drive somewhere to score a run, and that's absolutely what happened. Okay, and then also I want to point out that, hey, Max Muncy gets a single. And then Mookie Betts, he hits that, like I said earlier, he hits the sac fly. And then later in the game, you had 3 singles in a row. You had a sac fly. And then, so what I say all the time is, so you score the runs early, playing great offense, getting everybody involved like the Dodgers did. And then as you've gotten that lid off, that's when you go thump. Then you really put a team away by thumping the baseball late. And that's exactly what Will Smith did and Shohei Ohtani. And then you had the wild pitch that, kind of the wheels fell off a little bit there just for a second for the Diamondbacks. And because of all of that, it's suffocating, like I said earlier, when you have a roster like the Dodgers have. And then they're also executing baseball and playing so unselfishly and playing such a great brand of baseball. Okay, not going to really get into the Kershaw deal because, hey, big toe, whatever. We're not really going to know what's going on in the Clayton Kershaw situation, so I'm not going to speculate. It is what it is. This is the only statement I will make about that. I just hope that the decision that is made with Kershaw moving forward is made by the organization and not by Clayton. We all love Clayton Kershaw to no end. He's one of our favorite Dodgers of all time. But I hope the Dodgers are the ones that make this decision, and I hope it's a business decision and not one made off of emotions. That's all I'll say about the Clayton Kershaw situation. Now, how about the bullpen moves by Dave Roberts? I'll tell you what, you can't bitch and moan that the Dodgers use too many analytics. Then when Dave Roberts goes and makes a decision based on time and place and momentum of a game and who he has available, you can't then also bitch that he goes with his gut based on those factors. So here's what happened last night to the Dodgers, and we'll get to Joe Kelly here in a second. But the Dodgers had scored on 2 different occasions, and on both occasions, the Diamondbacks had answered back. So the Dodgers were never able to continue to keep momentum. Now, if you followed the Dodgers lately, they've scored a lot of runs early in games, not very many late. So when the Dodgers took the lead in the top of the 6th inning, in my opinion, it was one of those situations to where you're like, hey, this is the 3rd time we've taken the lead in this game. I don't know if we're going to score again this game or how many runs we're going to score. We need to capitalize off this momentum and finally put up a 0 after we scored to take the lead, something the Dodgers had not been able to do at that point. Because if you do that, that keeps momentum, and then the hopes is as you keep momentum, as you fired one of your big bullets like Michael Kopech, that gives you the momentum to then extend your lead, of which the Dodgers did with the 3-run home run by Will Smith in the next inning, and then the home run by Shohei Ohtani. And by the time you had gotten to guys like Daniel Hudson, who is exhausted, by the time you had gotten to Anthony Bonda, who was throwing on his 3rd day in a row, and here's the deal, Anthony Bonda and Evan Phillips coming into last night had both thrown 2 days in a row. So the choice was, do you want to throw Anthony Bonda the 3rd day in a row, or do you want to throw Evan Phillips the 3rd day in a row? Just go back and look how many times Evan Phillips has gone 3 days in a row for the Dodgers. I think it's only 3. And in the last couple of times it's happened, it hasn't been good, either in that outing or what's happened to him in the future of those outings. So for anybody to say that it should have been Evan Phillips throwing 3 days in a row instead of Anthony Bonda, I will absolutely disagree with that. So by the time that Doc had to get to his pitchers in the bullpen that were exhausted, like Daniel Hudson and Anthony Bonda, he threw a Michael Kopech to keep the lead long enough to extend it big enough to where those guys had margin for error and a cushion. It absolutely was beautiful the way that he used his gut to play to the momentum of the game and then allowed that momentum to build the lead big enough to get to the guys that he wasn't comfortable with throwing because of the fatigue factor. So again, I'm going to say it. That's entirely going by time, place, and momentum. That's entirely going by your gut. And if you bitch and moan all the time that the Dodgers are too analytical, then you ought to be very excited about the fact that Dave Roberts was not last night. And by the way, it absolutely worked Because if the Dodgers take a 1-run lead in the 6th inning and Anthony Bonda comes in and gives up a 4 spot right then, and then they go down 3 runs, all of the pitching changes, the sequences change as far as the way that the Dodgers are pitched to, and the Dodgers might not score again. So that absolutely worked. Nobody will ever be able to convince, because I am one that bitches that I think the Dodgers are a little bit too analytical, because I think there's times in the playoff scenario to where you need to leave a Tyler Anderson in, to where you need to feel your gut, and more so than anything, feel the environment around you. Just stop and take the environment in as the manager, of which you're trained to block all that out. But there are times where, as a manager, you need to stand there, look around, take the environment in, so you can then understand what your players are dealing with or the environment that they're in, and then make your decision based on how you feel after you felt that environment as far as what you have available in terms of players. That's what Dave Roberts did last night. I think that directly translates to what one of the adjustments I think he really needs to make as a playoff manager. So I am super excited about that. Now, in terms of Joe Kelly, why did he go out for the 2nd inning? Well, it's simple. Because Daniel Hudson wasn't going to go for 2 innings. Blake Trinan's coming off of injury. Not good to send him out 2 innings. Anthony Bonda damn sure wasn't going 2 innings on his 3rd outing in a row. And so, of all of the guys that you could have used last night as a sacrificial lamb to say, hey, here's the ball, we need 6 outs. I don't care if you give up 0 or 2,000 runs. I'll see you in 6 outs, Big Joe. Joe Kelly was the guy to do that with, because he's been the one that's struggling, and he's the one that, at this point, has earned the sacrificial lamb role in that spot. Because if you burn out Joe Kelly, let's find out right now, is he going to be on your playoff roster? Is he not going to be on the playoff roster? And regardless of who it was, somebody had to go multiple innings, and it couldn't be anybody like a Bonda or a Phillips that you're jeopardizing injury with, or a Daniel Hudson, and it needed to not be somebody that you don't want to burn out for that has an almost 1,000% guaranteed spot on the playoff roster, of which I mentioned on the show the other day. I'm not exactly sure where Joe Kelly's at right now, so you tell me. Is Joe Kelly's spot 1,000% secured for the playoff roster? So why not make that guy the one that has to just kind of eat it for the team, of which he did last night. Joe Kelly came in and he took down 1 2/3 innings and gave up a couple of runs. And then also, that's a part of the game to where Doc needs to evaluate this game. So is this a game that we're going to win, so I need to throw all my high leverage guys and throw all my bullets? Or is this a game to where I need to conserve a little bit so as not, because the worst case scenario is if you go out there and you throw all your bullets and then you also lose. So he also need to evaluate, if this isn't a game that the odds would say we're probably going to come back and win, I need to set my team up to be able to win all the remaining games with Arizona. So Doc handled Joe Kelly absolutely perfectly. In my opinion, he handled the time, place, and momentum of the Kopech decision perfectly, and then he got to his fatigued arms in a spot of the game like he was hoping it would happen when they already had a cushion. I think the decisions were absolutely spot on. They weren't just, hey, this is a robotic, analytical decision. This is what the book tells you to do. Doc used his gut. He was a baseball manager. He made baseball decisions based on baseball game last night. So I thought it was great. Again, the Dodgers have been playing great as of late, and if you can't tell, I'm super excited about it. So, hey, want to make sure you stick around. We have just an absolutely awesome Down on the Farm show. Tons of action. I mean, tons of action. Edgardo Henriquez, Michael Grove, all had really nice outings last night. And Cristian Santana is back for the Double-A Driller. And we had a young man hit 100, as we mentioned earlier, in this show. And then we also have some great action down at Rancho. So with that, let's not waste some more time. Let's get right to it, and let's take a trip down the farm. As we begin our Down on the Farm segment, we are going to start, as we do each and every time, at Single A Rancho Cucamonga, and that is a young man that you should be becoming familiar with his name because we have been talking about him quite a bit as of late. This is Karros Rojas, and hey, what you really need to know about him is that he raised his average to 300, which is great. Hey, stats are what they are at the Single A level, whatever. But hey, what I really like about him, that is a slider that is on the outer half, uses the big part of the field, hits the ball right up the middle, and I'll tell you what, he makes going the other way look very, very, very easy, like that one right there. And so, hey, I wanted to show you. Matter of fact, this was the third multi-hit game in a row for Karros Rojas, so wanted to dive in on him and kind of show you some of the great things that he is doing for Rancho Cucamonga with the Quakes. And then also Zaire Hope. Last night, look at this power right here. Hey, this is a guy that was a little bit late on that pitch, and kapow, all the way opposite field to the bottom of the wall. That is just a very impressive hit. You know, we know that Zaire Hope can absolutely hit tanks. He's one of the strongest young men in the entire organization. Matter of fact, that was his 13th double right there. And Zaire Hope, the young man that the Dodgers got in the Michael Busch trade, has hits in 5 out of his last 6 games. So you saw him go opposite field, and now you're seeing him turn on one and hit the ball to right field for another hit, which meant that he had a multi-hit game last night. And then also, another thing that I wanted to show, hey, I've been telling you about this guy out of Oregon State from last summer. This is Elijah Heinlein, originally out of Washington and went to Washington State and then transferred to Oregon State for his last year. Been telling you how great of an athlete he is. Just watch that play from Elijah Heinlein. Again, drafted in the 7th round from last summer's draft. All the way to his left, was able to gather himself, get enough on the throw. Nice dig by Cameron Decker. So wanted to show you the good athletic ability from Elijah Heinlein. But I'll tell you what stole the show as I get my video queued up here and get all the way down to my Z's as Christian Zasweda. This is a young man, if you remember in the offseason, the Dodgers got him in the Caleb Ferguson trade. And I tell you what, point blank, Zasweda struggled. I mean, he struggled for quite a while once he came over to the Dodgers, which is fine. But I tell you, the pro scouts in the Dodgers system, absolutely, look at that nice little cutter type slider pitch, absolutely did their homework with this young man, as they always do. Because since his last start in July, we mentioned he got off to a really rough start, but since his last start in July, his ERA has been .260, and he has 30 strikeouts to just 3 walks since his last start in July. That spans 24.2 innings. So kudos to Sean Coyne, Ramon Troncoso, the 2 pitching coaches at Rancho. Kudos to Rob Hill, the minor league pitching coordinator in the Dodgers system, for seeing what they saw in this guy even when he was struggling, and then continuing to work with him to get him on top of his game like he has been since the end of July, his last outing in July. How about last night? 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 run, 7 strikeouts, no walks. And how about this? He gave up 3 hits to the first 4 hitters of the game and then did not give up a hit for the rest of the game. So just really another dominant outing from Christian Zasweda, and it was super, super exciting to watch as the Quakes were taking down the San Jose Giants, and the San Jose Giants are very motivated right now because they just need to win one more game to win their division of the California League. So now we're going to move up to the high A level. Wow, what an outing for Peyton Martin. 2nd outing in a row for the young right-hander out of Clemens, North Carolina. Look at that slider. That slider was devastating. And that thing about that slider is if you look at the counts, he's throwing them in every different count. 2-2, no count whatsoever. You know, neutral counts, behind in the count, ahead in the count. There's a changeup he threw at 86. He used that changeup and slider and all counts. There's a 2-0 slider, just kind of a cutter in on the hands. That, hey, I know you say, well, he hit it hard. Well, yeah, but he didn't keep it fair because it had just enough off of it that he was the hitter was a little bit early on it. So 2nd outing in a row, 2nd start in a row that Peyton Martin has gone exactly 5 innings and he has not walked a batter, not one batter in his last 3 starts. So, hey, I know the Loons lost in extra innings last night, and that probably it doesn't mathematically end their season, but it does put a big, it's going to make it really, really difficult for them to come back and win. So I know they didn't win last night, but it was not because of Peyton Martin and his great outing. Another thing about him, a lot of confidence for Peyton Martin. And as you'll look with his windup here, you really don't see it in this video, but if you go back and watch the game in live time, he was working really fast out of his windup, which to me, whenever pitchers work fast, pitchers that already have a lot of confidence, when they work fast, I think that feeds into their momentum, which just kind of feeds into their confidence as well. So I think that really kind of all works together. But then right here, so you can see, once he got into the windup or the stretch, he was able to slow things down a touch and go to the slide step. So he had a little bit of everything. He did a lot of what I call just great pitching last night. And so kudos to Peyton Martin. It is absolutely great to see him pitch as well as he has. Again, back-to-back starts where he's gone 5 innings and not giving up a run. So great job to Peyton Martin. And then another young man out of the bullpen. Look at that leg kick to that. Look at that right there. And then look how he hides the ball. That ball goes behind his back. So as a hitter, you're seeing a bunch of legs and that big old leg kick. You're not seeing the ball. Then all of a sudden he just drops one out of the sky like that. And all you can do is shake your head. And you're going, dang, man, that is a really tough pitch. And the young man we're talking about here, Garrett McDaniels. Hey, get out your Rolodex and start putting this guy, Garrett McDaniels, in your Rolodex because he has been just simply fantastic. As a matter of fact, he has not allowed a run in his last 6 outings. He has not allowed a run in 12 out of his last 13. So this is a young man. You can see the confidence in him. I mean, just a lot of confidence. And again, we mentioned the big leg kick, hides the ball. Velo is mid-90s. He can hit upper 90s from time to time. He can also take on lefties right there on the inner half with that little cutter pitch. He can also sweep that slider to the back foot of righties, that sweeping slider right there. A lot of times go to the back foot of righties, so he has offerings for hitters from both sides of the plate, and he has absolutely been executing. So it's super exciting to see just how well that Garrett McDaniels has been pitching as of late, and he did a great job last night. And then continuing on with the relief pitching for the Great Lakes Loons, who probably stole the show right there. 100 miles an hour. That one there, his first 3 fastballs of the inning. This is Jason Cabrera. First 3 fastballs of the inning, you see right there. 98. I believe it was his 4th or 5th fastball there's 99 there. I believe it was his next one, reached 100 miles an hour. 100. How about that? Jason Cabrera hitting 100 miles an hour, went scoreless in 2 innings in a row for the Great Lakes Loons. Struck out the side in its first inning of work, and then also was locating to the outer half like that. So when you're throwing 99 to 100 and hitting the glove side, which is right there, that glove side, which is the outside corner to a right-hander, it's just game, set, and match. I mean, as a hitter, there is nothing you can do about that. Jason Cabrera, his ERA is down to 3. He has 42 strikeouts in 36 innings, and he has not allowed a run in his last 4 outings. His ERA in his last 9 outings has been 2.41. So Jason Cabrera has been doing just simply a fantastic job for for the Great Lakes Loons. So super exciting to see him hit the 0. He hit 100 miles an hour. And yet another arm, and I know a lot of fans are going to go, well, yeah, that's fine, but he's going to get injured or whatever. Fine, whatever. But it still is very exciting to see yet another gigantic power arm in the system for the Dodgers. Young man Jason Cabrera, who hit 100 miles an hour last night. Moving up to the AA Tulsa level, this is Damon Keith. Hey, boy, that looks just like a line drive in the box score, right? Okay, and Damon Keith has some of the biggest legs. Look at those tree trunks for legs. One of the strongest young men in all the game of baseball at any level. So it's kind of nice. We know he can hit nukes. I mean, he hit like a 111-mile-an-hour single about a month ago. Probably has done it since. I just haven't noticed. So it's really nice for a guy that can absolutely hit nukes like Damon Keith can. It's nice to see him get friendly with the baseball gods and kind of get lucky every now and then and get a blue hit like that and kind of get a hit and see how he's kind of giggling about that. Hey, baseball gods were good today. Then get one in on the hands and just fist one back up the middle. So it's fun to see him get those 2 hits. 266 on the year. It's been a good year. Still striking out too much. The K rate is still around 30%. So he needs to get that down to around 25%. I think he would be the first one to admit that. But everything else, the batting average 266, you'll take that. The OPS 840, you'll take that. He has 13 home runs in 256 at bats, which would equate to 526 home runs in a full season. You'll definitely take that, and 32 RBIs. So, I mean, it's been a good season for Damon Keith, and it was exciting to see him have a good night last night for the AA Tulsa Drillers. And another young man that we mentioned on our show the last time we were on is a young man that the Dodgers just brought back into the system. That is Cristian Santana, and I got to see him quite a bit in 2021 at AAA Oklahoma City. Really liked, I know he pulled that ball, but I really liked the fact that he uses the middle of the field and the opposite field very, very well. Got off to a little bit of a slow start once the Dodgers re-signed him. Dodgers do this a lot. They go back and they get players that they've had in their system before that they liked, and then these guys like Cristian Santana elected free agency after 2021. Then when they become available again, if they do, they go back and get them again. That's what they did with Santana. But after a slow start, Santana now has 3 multi-hit games in his last 4, and he has 7 for his last 17. So it's great to see Cristian Santana back in Dodgers blue. But I'll tell you what, who stole the night, although the Drillers did not win last night, who stole the night last night, welcome back Jared Karros. And doing what he does, which is stringing zeros. He went 3 innings. He has been on the development list since June 9th. I am efforting to find out the exact reasons for that. As a matter of fact, I have a message right here. It was a combo of innings, inning control, and some arm fatigue. I just got a message from Jared literally as we were on the air, and as I was on the air recording this, just got a message from Jared. It was it was between just innings limit and arm fatigue. That's why he has been on the development list since June 9th. So there you go. Jared Karros finally back, and he threw 3 innings scoreless last night. Looked really, really good. Doing what he does, throwing 3 pitches for strikes, executing, sequencing like a major leaguer, inside, outside, up, down, off speed, fastball, sequencing plus location is absolutely big league with Jared Karros. And so there you go. He is finally back. And the reason why he was on the development list was because of arm fatigue and innings control for him. So hey, it was good to see him back on the mound. And it was also good to see Juan Murillo, as I bring up his video here, get back on track. Juan Murillo, like all minor leaguers, has definitely had some ups and downs here in 2024. And if you look at his ERA, it's over 5, and you go, what's going on with Juan Murillo? Well, he walks too many guys. I mean, that's the obvious part of it. But having said that, Juan Murillo, you know, he had the Tommy John, and he came off of it last year. And then this year he's been really let off the leash. And so you figured there was going to be some ups and downs for him, but he has his biggest stuff, just about as big a stuff as anybody. He can consistently go over 100 miles an hour with a good slider. He has the mentality to match for a high leverage guy. I mean, this dude is super, super competitive. So he's always shown the big stuff in the past. What he's shown this year is the ability to grind through tough patches, which is just as important as showing the amount of talent you have. And because of that, on the other end of that, he has not walked a batter in his last 2 outings, and he has gone 6 scoreless outings in a row. So Juan Murillo has made it through his tough patch here in 2024. He's got himself back on top, and we'll see if he can keep the ball in the strike zone and keep climbing north, as we all hope he does, because he definitely has the ability to do that. So, hey, let's move on up to the AAA level, which is AAA Oklahoma City. This is Andy Paez, just like Damon Keith, a young man that can hit the ball a mile. Hey, made well with the baseball gods last night. Had 2 hits, and one was just the center fielder losing the ball in the night sky. And then the next one you're getting ready to see here in just a second was one that he hit to right field that just kind of dunked right in front of the right fielder. So, hey, didn't hit, but both look like line drives in the box score. But the important thing is here is that Andy Paez is hitting .356 at the AAA level. His on-base percentage is .421, so he continues to play good offense with AAA Oklahoma City and continues to put himself in a position to be a factor for the LA Dodgers as things move forward and the Dodgers figure out who all is going to be on their postseason roster. And then Cody Hosey. How many times, if you follow Dodgers Daily down the farm, have we told you with Cody Hosey, don't make your evaluation until this young man finally has an entire season where he's healthy. 2019 was a good season when he got drafted, but 2021 oblique. 2022 and 2023 were marred with injuries. Just stop and start. 2024, Cody Hosey has finally been healthy, and guess what? 293, OPS of 865, 16 home runs, 29 doubles. So Cody Hosey, with a full season of health, has finally shown what he is capable of. We've all known the defense has always been elite, but this year he has finally shown that he can also have extremely good offense, and he certainly has done that this year in 2024, and nobody could be more excited about it than I am, because I've been preaching about this guy for a long time. Just wait and let him finally get healthy. And then old Wardo has had him a really nice year at the AAA level, had a couple of hits last night. His batting average has dropped just a little bit. He's in the 250s at this point. But hey, what's interesting to note about him, what I want you to note about Ryan Ward, is that this guy has a really nice hit tool, probably not in the future plans of the Dodgers. I don't mean that to be negative or throw shade on him, and I hope if he watches this that he understands what I'm saying. What I mean is, it's just the Dodgers has so much talent. There's a roster crunch, and so he's Rule 5 eligible, and if I'm any other team, I take Ryan Ward. I make him my everyday starting left fielder, and I think he'll hit 250 with an OPS around 800. He'll be a good defensive player, and you'll have a good major leaguer. So I hope that happens for Ryan. Actually, I hope he becomes a Dodger and becomes a starter for the Dodgers. But if that is not the case, I hope it happens with some other team. Hey, I talk about all the time. Said it with Cristian Santana, Donovan Casey. The Dodgers do it all the time. John Duplantier. He was with the Dodgers 2 years ago. Young man who was a big-time quarterback coming out of the Houston area. Went to Rice, was the WAC pitcher of the year his last year there at Rice, and then was with the Diamondbacks for a while. The Dodgers got him 2 years ago. Like Santana, he chose free agency, and he's kind of toiled around here or there. Became available again, and the Dodgers picked him back up. This is a guy that has big breaking balls. He's very versatile. The Dodgers, when he was with them 2 years ago, used him as a starter. They used him as a long reliever. They used him as a high leverage late inning type guy. So it's good to see John Duplantier back with the Dodgers and pitching well. And he had a good start last night for AAA Oklahoma City. No doubt about that. He got the game off at Round Rock in a good fashion and did the Dodgers a really good job. So, hey, like the Dodgers do, went and got John Duplantier again because they know all about him, and he's doing a good job. Can't wait to see him with my own eyes in AAA Oklahoma City. So, hey, Michael Grove also threw last night for AAA Oklahoma City. And as a matter of fact, since he's been optioned, he's not given up a run in his 3 outings, did not give up a run last night, and had 2 strikeouts. So he looked very good. And you know that, hey, he's in that situation again, like a lot of other guys. It's a roster crunch. There's a lot of talent on this Dodgers roster. So all Michael can do, before when he was in Oklahoma City, it was a rehab stint. So he kind of felt like, hey, he's going right back up to LA, which he did. Now it's an option period. So now you're just waiting on the call back up like everybody else is. All you can do if you're Michael is continue to throw zeros up, continue to control what you can control, and wait for that call. And hopefully it comes again for Grove. We saw last night in the LA game, the Dodgers could have really used a guy like Michael Grove that could have knocked down 3 or 4 innings. Now that Ryan Yarbrough's not on the roster, so maybe he can be that guy for the Dodgers down the stretch. We will see. And then Edgardo Henriquez threw as well. And I'll tell you what, the thing about him, he's been very good with AAA Oklahoma City, but I will warn people, Coach Barakoff mentioned this in our live show, as awesome as he is, I think if you follow Dodgers Daily, you know that he is one of my most untouchable players in the entire system. Him and Dalton Rushing are at the top of that list. But just cool your jets a little bit. I mean, he's coming off the Tommy John. He did start in single A. Now, when I say cool your jets, what I actually mean by that is the Dodgers brass, their pitching brass, they're better than every other organization, in my opinion. They will be patient with this guy. So I ask Dodgers fans to be patient as well. And just do this right here, okay? Whenever the Dodgers pitching staff feels like his sequencing and his execution is good enough to get major league hitters out, they will send him up when there's opportunity. But they will not do it until then, because the last thing you want to do is send Edgardo Henriquez up and him not be able to execute well enough. He get hit, and now you lose a little bit of confidence, and now you've kind of actually taken a couple of steps backwards. He has so much momentum that you don't want to do anything that would put that momentum in jeopardy. So, I mean, I still think it would be a massive upset if they brought him up this year. That would be one of the most meteoric rises of all time. But maybe they do. But all I'm trying to say is let's trust them. Let's not just go out on social media and start firing off posts of, hey, bring up Edgardo Henriquez. Yes, he is great. And yes, he is one of my most untouchables. But yes, we do need to let the Dodgers move him at the pace that they feel is best for him. That's all I'm saying about him. That's all I'm asking. I don't mean that to be negative in any way. I actually mean that to be the most positive thing I could possibly say about this situation, because nobody could be any higher on Edgardo Henriquez than I am, or anybody that's associated with Dodgers Daily. And then last night, hey, how about Michael Peterson? He finished the night for AAA Oklahoma City, getting the last 3 outs, got his 10th save, and moved his ERA down to 1.64 at the AAA level. And he's thrown 6 scoreless outings in a row, and 13 of his last 14 have been scoreless as well. And we've seen, even on the major league level, that his fastball and that slider there can get major league outs. So it'll be interesting to see what his role is, if there is a role coming for Michael Peterson. They call him the Big Gas, the British Gas, the Big Mike. We'll see what his role is down the stretch for the Dodgers.